Good afternoon, Mary.
Good afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for today's webinar section titled Rome Business School, RBSN for Entrepreneurship, which focuses on the role of entrepreneurship in economic recovery. So Mary Happy is going to be the moderator for today. Mary Happy is the CEO of FOTS Business. So she's going to be taking us through all the various activities today. Thank you, Mr. Austin, who is part of us today. Mr. Austin, please, could you please show your face so that we can see you, host for today. Mr. Austin. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar section. We can see his face. I'm sure that he's ready for us and he's ready to give us loads of information about entrepreneurship. And also we have Mr. Toromade. I'm sure he is here. Mr. Toromade, are you there? Hello, Mr. Toromade. So I'm sure he will be joining us anytime soon. So at this point, I'll be handing over to Mary Happy, who is going to be giving us more details about the speakers for today. We're going to have their background information and from what they're going to be sharing with us today. So at this point, I would like to hand over to Mary, who is going to be moderating today's webinar section. Mary, thank you so much for joining us today. And this is over to you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Funke. Thank you so much. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Rome Business School virtual meeting. Thank you very much for coming and finding the time to come to join us today in this particular discussion. My name is Mary Binosa, as Funke has already said, a co-founder of Fortis Africa, and at the same time, a consultant for the CG and the United Nations system, mostly in agriculture, food and agriculture. It is my pleasure to moderate today's event, which brings together seasoned CEOs, leveraging the strengths of Rome Business School to provide our esteemed audience that you are value for time, the time you set out to participate in this webinar. My excitement about today's program stems from the fact that current happenings such as the COVID-19 disruptions have provided real opportunities for entrepreneurs, including, of course, in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. So we are excited to see the type of opportunities that our presenters will bring to us and how to take advantage of them. Our topic for today, which is the role of entrepreneurship in economic recovery. How timely, how timely. Without any further delay, I am going to introduce our special guest, that is Mr. Francis Toromade and Dr. Austin Nwaze. We have already seen Dr. Austin, and we're waiting for Mr. Francis, and I hope you'll be here very soon. These are very accomplished subject matter professionals with very lengthy resumes, very lengthy resumes, which if we take a lot of time to go through all of it, we would take so much of our time. But now, because we want to take more time to listen to them and benefit from them, let me just give a brief introduction alone for this, our guest presenters. But we will circulate their full resumes with other webinar materials post-event, as we normally do. I start with Dr. Nwaze, Austin Nwaze. I hope I pronounced the name well. Forgive me if I did it. Well, Dr. Austin started out as an entrepreneur since the 1990s. So we are loaded. He must have traversed the different environments, political systems with entrepreneurship that he would be able to really throw a lot of light on our event of today. Then, of course, for close to a decade, he published a successful People magazine with focus on entrepreneurship promotion, which, of course, has contributed immensely to the awareness of entrepreneurship that we now hear as a common word in the government institutions, universities, NGOs, and even the private sector. He is a consultant on organizational transformation, entrepreneurship training program development, and delivery of course. He's the anchor of the popular TV issue-based program, which is the Patitos Gang. I know most of us enjoy the program. He currently teaches the MSc, the PGD, and the seminar classes at the School of Media and Communication at Pan-African University in Lagos, Nigeria. He is also the principal consultant at the Bellwether Consulting. I would just briefly leave it at that with Dr. Austin, and I go to Mr. Francis Toromade, who is a specialist in marketing, entrepreneurship, and agribusiness. With an elaborate academic qualification, no need to go into details. As I said, we will circulate. Mr. Francis is a seasoned agribusiness expert, consultant, and analyst with more than 2 decades experience in leading and managing marketing, sales, procurement, research, training, development, and financial management, just to mention a few. As I said, 20 decades, it means he has gone through all the different systems, whether it's the SAP or whatever. And so with that, you will be able to bring us a lot of advice on entrepreneurship. He has held several positions, including the general manager, sales and marketing at Amo Bank Nigeria Limited. He's been general manager, sales and marketing at Tunes International Holdings, marketing consultant for the Poultry Association of Nigeria, the Lagos All Farmers Association. He's been the group head, policy and strategy at Amo Bank Nigeria Limited, Amo Farms Sierra Hatchery Limited, Solutions Limited, currently the director of marketing, head of faculty, the MBA program in the Rome Business School. As you can see, I had to abridge it at that so that we can gain some time and catch up with what they will present to us. Please welcome these amazing personalities with a round of applause. Please, let's go. We are very glad that they are able to find time to come and talk with us. I would also like to welcome members of the Rome Business School management, the staff, the alumni, the executive students, who have taken time out of their busy schedules to join us here today on this webinar. You are all welcome, and all audience for that matter, all the people that have come here to join us for this discussion. Right now, we are online. We know that the chat box is open, so you just put your questions as you go. Let it be very interactive. Express yourself. Bring out if it's a question you ask, if it's a comment you give. You can also raise your hands. At the end of it, we will be able to bring out all the questions that you've been given. Let's use the chat box as the presentations begin to flow, so that at the end of it, these questions will be answered accordingly. So feel free to type your questions, your comments, contributions. All this will be taken in account to enrich our experience and also to improve. Maybe the next time we are having the another event. Right now, we will give the floor, to the guest speakers at this particular moment with the first, that is Mr. Romade and Dr. Mweze. Please let us know whether Mr. Francis is in the house before we move ahead. Mr. Francis, is Mr. Francis in the house? Hello?
Not yet, Mom.
Okay. So I think we will still move ahead. He will surely meet us, Dr. Mweze. I'm sure that he's able to handle a lot of things along the way. We will hope to have Dr. Mweze, Mr. Francis meeting with us. You are welcome, sir. Please, the floor is yours. We hope to be able to manage the time in a way that we can, at the end of it, we will get people to express themselves, because I'm very sure that as people are expressing themselves on the chat box and giving also, Please.
I don't know whether you can hear me.
Hello?
Can hear you, sir. We can hear you.
Okay. Do I need to share any slide, or I'll just talk?
Please.
If you have your slide,
free.
you can share, sir.
Feel very free to express yourself and do it in a way that, you prepared it, so that it will be much easier for us to now fit in and begin to ask our questions. Thanks.
Okay. I will just share a few slides with us, and to make the discussion very easy and interactive. Okay, so we begin by saying that my focus is the two areas: how entrepreneurship helps in economic growth, and secondly, how entrepreneurship helps in economic development, and how it affects the quality of life and standard of living. And again, at the last slide or so, I posed a question, which is what Rome Business School can also consider for debate in a future session like this. Is it my last slide? I will explain it. Okay. Let me start by saying that the public policy, spanning a broad range of contexts, has turned to entrepreneurship to provide the engine of economic growth. Because entrepreneurship is the engine of economic growth for any nation, especially Africa and other emerging economies. Every nation, like the US, every nation's economy started with small business economy, or started as a small business economy, and they grew to big business. In the US, for instance, it wasn't until 1800 or thereabouts that one man by name John D. Rockefeller, began the introduce a big business in America, and ever since then, there's a transition from small business to big business, and because of the puzzle, how one man could manage a behemoth, big companies. It was unheard of in the US, and that curiosity led to setting up 3 business schools in 1898, 1900, and 1908. And one of those schools was the Harvard Business School, and just to study how John D. Rockefeller was able to run big business. First time ever in in the world, in America those days. And then, you know, entrepreneurship has become a teaching subject in the universities since the past 30 or so years, and is now catching on. When I was publishing a magazine called Successful People, you know, profiling entrepreneurs and giving them skills on how to manage their businesses, the Nigerians didn't pay me attention. It's timing is of essence. If you arrive before your time, you may lose out. People may not pay you attention. But when the market is ready for you, you may run out of steam. And if you arrive after your time, you may not also compete. And what happened to me was that I arrived 20 years before my time, talking about entrepreneurship. And I ran out of financial steam, and I've not been able to, you know, to go back to that publication, and hoping that will educate people on entrepreneurship. So the knowledge spillover theory of entrepreneurship suggests that entrepreneurship provides a crucial mechanism in the process of economic growth by serving as a conduit of knowledge spillover. So investment in new knowledge and ideas may not automatically spill over and result in commercialization, as has typically been, you know, assumed, you know, in other models of economic growth. So rather, the existence of what is introduced as a knowledge filter impedes the spillover and commercialization of investment in new ideas and knowledge. So by penetrating the knowledge filter and facilitating the spillover of the knowledge that might otherwise not be commercialized, entrepreneurship provides a missing link to economic growth. I'm just introducing the points leading to economic growth, which I said my speaking will focus on economic growth and economic development, and how this, you know, leads to it. So you find that in this new millennium, it may not be so much about the process of the Joseph Schumpeter's creative destruction, where entrepreneurial startups displace and ultimately drive incumbent companies out of business, but rather characterized by creative construction. There's a new way, because if you go to Silicon Valley, some of these economies, there are some theories that, you know, in every dispensation that determine how the economies of those, you know, countries are organized. Okay, there was a time you had this Italian economist about who talked about comparative advantage. And then Michael Porter came out. Ricardo was an Italian economist who preached comparative advantage. But we have seen that, you know, comparative advantage is when countries are encouraged to focus on what they can produce, they factor endowments in their countries, and then export to others who have also factor endowments, which they can, you know, what the Cadbury used to do with we ship cocoa to London, and then they make chocolates and send back to Porter. Now said, look, countries should focus on being competitive, you know, so that it's no longer about natural endowment.
So sorry, Mr. Nweze, sorry to cut you off. Your slide is not moving.
Yeah, I know. I'm still on this slide.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm explaining something here. Yeah, so Joseph Schumpeter's theory was of creative destruction was what established Silicon Valley in the US. That's the point I want to make here. So Silicon Valley, they operate with Joseph Schumpeter's creative destruction. But today, that creative destruction is being displaced by creative construction. Creative construction. For instance, we are using Zoom today. Thank God for COVID. If COVID did not come, who knows when we could have been, though this has been the offering for some years, okay? But the COVID made this to, to come on in the marketplace. And then other companies are joining in. So today we have creative construction. And that's what entrepreneurship is also helping us to do. And also there are some empirical analysis that suggests entrepreneurship does not have an effect on economic growth in low-income countries, which is still debatable. Okay, so and their entrepreneurship has more impact on developed economies than developing economies. Well, it's still debatable, but the question is, in this respect, is how does the role of entrepreneurship differ between high income transition and low income countries? And again, what kind of entrepreneurship are most crucial for economic growth? That's the question we're asking today. So, but in development, we can say that development is a broad concept in telling the raising of human capital. One of the central challenges, in improving economic development is to increase the standard of living for individuals and growth of the economy as a whole. So we find that the economic growth and economic development usually is mixed up, and growth usually they go together, both growth and development. They cannot be growth. Some people will believe that economic growth cannot happen without economic development. But economic development, economic growth can also happen. And some people will argue economic growth can also happen without economic development. How? In the sense that, when there is a rise in oil price, for instance, the GDP, the growth has to do with GDP, and development has to do with quality of life of the people and development of the human capital and all that, okay? It has to do with jobs being created. It has to do with people finding things to do for themselves, right? So to achieve both economic growth and development, entrepreneurship, is the main guy that does the job. So, but again, in development, it could be interrupted by conflicts. Wars going on everywhere. In Nigeria, wars going on. Farmers are no longer encouraged to bring their produce to the marketplace. Businesses are no longer trading the way they should. And in other countries, they're having challenges. And these are affecting economic growth and development as well. So interrupting entrepreneurial activities within those countries. So, studies have shown that entrepreneurship is a driver of economic development. And when you look at the factors of production, and entrepreneurship is there. You have land, you have you know, the other factors as well, and entrepreneurship is one of them. So you find that entrepreneurship is a factor that creates wealth by combining existing factors in new ways. Okay, you combine existing factors in new ways. They don't need to be out of the ordinary. Okay, so in order to for us to have you know, a buoyant economy, we need to focus on entrepreneurship. I'm happy with the progress being made now in Nigeria as regards entrepreneurship, unlike in the past. And you find that today government is paying more attention to entrepreneurship by setting up some agencies to assist small businesses, such as Sweden in Abuja, and you know, another like central bank also coming in to help in agriculture and all that. But you see, one thing about this is when government wants to help small businesses, entrepreneur businesses, they help them using one hand to help them and using the other hand to withdraw that help again from them. Why do I say so? If you want to help entrepreneurs to grow, provided them grants, financial grants, you don't have to go through the normal conventional banks. I've been arguing this for years. And how economies grow, how other economies use entrepreneurship to grow is by setting up or encouraging people to establish or set up venture capital firms and encouraging angel investors, and you know, and also the other, their cousins. I will remember the name. But the point is that conventional banks don't understand the kind of risks that entrepreneurs take. They can't fathom it, which was what led to you know, some universities setting up institutions to cater to the needs of small businesses by training banks and other institutions on how small businesses function. Okay, so you find that we need venture capital firms. In Israel, for instance, Israel with a population of 7 million, approximately 7 million or thereabouts, they have close to 300 venture capital firms. That if you have an idea today, tomorrow, you get the funds that you need to set up the business. Okay, and that's what makes the economy grow. Banks are there for big businesses, okay, who they can easily go to. And some banks don't even lend to small businesses, and they lend to them on short-term basis and with high interest. They don't understand how small the risk they take. So they're not the best people to loan money to small businesses, entrepreneur businesses. When I say small businesses now, I'm making reference to entrepreneur businesses. So entrepreneurship will only unlock economic development if proper institutional setting is in place. You know, and one of the things that we need for entrepreneurship to grow in Nigeria is to set up the venture capital firms to encourage people. Let me give you an example. When ABC Transport and Muka Foam wanted to expand their businesses, they didn't go to commercial banks. They went to Actis, a private equity firm. Okay, so they went to them. They went to venture capital firms, capital alliance, and ABC borrowed 300 million and bought some new buses, new fleets, because they wanted to go to travel to, West Africa, West African countries. And in 5 years, Capital Alliance took ABC Transport public. And then they made their money, and ABC still became the first transport company to go public. And then, they create wealth. You create wealth for the people when you take your business public. Okay? So when your business is traded in the Nigerian Stock Exchange, you're creating wealth for the citizens. So anybody can trade there and make their money. For Muka Foam, the activists went in there, but they became core investor in Muka Foam with $15 million. Muka Foam expanded the factory and then employed more people. And what activists did was to put 5 managers to run the company for 5 years. After 5 years, they sold to another core investor for 75 million. Now, Muka Foam achieved what they wanted, and then activists moved on to another venture. And this is how businesses are run. Okay, well, Africa should move away from the micro businesses to big businesses. And that's the argument in my last slide. Okay, so you also find that, let me just skip some of these things here so that my other colleague can also have time to speak his own. So we have a process in which an economy finds out or self-discovered what is good at out of the many products that already exists. So the role of entrepreneurship in developing countries does not equal innovation and R&D, commonly understood in advanced countries. Is different. Okay, it's different. So because we need motivation, entrepreneurs also need motivation. Okay, so when the economy is doing well, there is less incentive to encourage new entrepreneurial firms. But when people and firms are making money, so the thing is, why take the risk? Something new and untested. And that's what happens to some countries, some economies. So entrepreneurial businesses operate more where there are incentives, where there's a motivation. There must be a motivation, okay? And profit motivation is one of them, okay? So they must be encouraged to, to begin to come up with new ideas. And that's what Michael Porter talks about, that nations should be more concerned about competitive advantage rather than comparative advantage. So when there is this kind of opportunity, then entrepreneurship comes in, and then there will be competition. And then when there's competition, then there will be also quality of the product will improve, and then there will be competition in pricing. Yeah, you will recall that in 2000 or 2000 and something, when these GSM providers, MTN, Econet, came in, and they told us they could not do per second billing, and then Glo came, and that was a good entrance for Glo, a way to penetrate the market. They came with what the other two majors say it was not possible, which I often talk about when I teach in class, when I talk about the market structure, that oligopoly, collusive oligopoly, is worse than monopoly. It destroys economies. So Econet and MTN colluded not to give us per second until Globacom came in and broke their back, and then they had to adjust. So these are things that help in economics. And so to avoid monopoly, there's nowhere in the world where monopoly is good for the economy. It's never good, and it should be discouraged. Okay, and at the end of the day, the monopolists, once they they get out of that monopolistic tendencies, become more competitive, they make more money. So, the thing is that these stagnating firms are the first to suffer when imports arrive, withering rapidly, unable to respond to the competition because they're comfortable. So entrepreneurs are equally, if not more, important when the economy is doing badly. Like Nigeria today, Nigeria is bleeding. They need entrepreneurial businesses now. They need entrepreneurship. Everything they should be thinking about, the government should be thinking about is, how do we encourage entrepreneurship? How do we encourage, just select few sectors? Post-COVID, we are saying, look, there are three major sectors that companies should focus on. I mean, government should encourage companies to focus on: health, ICT, and ICT, and then communication. So there are some sectors that government should focus on to encourage entrepreneurship. Okay, so when unemployment is high and the economy is contracting or stagnating, dynamic entrepreneurship could help turn the economy around. Yes, it's in ways that government.
Sorry, please, Dr. Oscar. Your slide is still on slide 1. I do not know whether that is intentional or it is just a mistake.
No. Is it moving now?
Thank you.
Is it moving now?
No, it's still on slide 1.
Oh my God. Has it moved now?
Yes, it's moving now.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I hope the time is really fast spent. Yeah.
Okay.
We have,
all right.
Yes.
Yeah, give me 5 minutes more. I will leave it the way it is, and I hope that you get the materials and then you can read. Okay. But the point is that entrepreneurs boost economy, economic growth by introducing innovative technologies, products, and devices and services. Increase competition from entrepreneurs challenge existing challenges existing firms to become more competitive. And who will believe that one day that Nitel, remember the old Nitel, will go out of business? This is what happens in an economy where you have many entrepreneurs. So they provide job opportunities. When government says that they are creating jobs, they're not creating jobs, not that they're employing people. And unlike some state governors that will say they're creating jobs, they will employ SAs and TAs, pay them 40,000, and then believe that they have created jobs for them. But that's not the way. The people that create the real jobs are entrepreneurs. Okay, they raise the productivity of firms and economies. Okay, by making quality products and making sure that people go to work and become more productive. Okay, so and then they have their own disadvantages because it's not everybody that should be an entrepreneur. But let me say this in closing, that the main point is that entrepreneurship is important to economic development, that the benefits to society will be greater in economies where entrepreneurs can operate flexibly, develop their ideas, and reap the rewards. And then that entrepreneurs respond to high regulatory barriers by moving to more innovative friendly countries, or by turning from productive activities to non-wealth creating activities. And to attract productive entrepreneurs, government needs to cut red tapes. Very, very important. They should cut red tapes, streamline regulations, and prepare for the negative effects of layoffs in incumbent firms that fail because of the new competition. Because sometimes government red tapes kill businesses, kill entrepreneurial businesses. So, well, I have said that in closing, but I think you can read all of this later on. But the question is too much entrepreneurship bad for the economy? That's a question, a debate that I would like Rome Business School to host so that we can square it out and see whether too much entrepreneurship is good or bad for the economy. But my point is, for whatever it is, let us get to the point where we say there's too much entrepreneurship before we begin to think about whether it's good or bad for the economy. Right now, we are in no position to, to say that entrepreneurship is too much. There's too much entrepreneurship. We have not even started yet. And what happens is that some economies, some societies don't understand really to define entrepreneurship. They believe that if a freelancer, for instance, who just works for himself is an entrepreneur. We must define not the one the World Bank defined for us. We must be making $100 million a year and employing over 100 people. That's the definition for a developed economy, not for a backward economy like us. Let me use that. Permit me to use that word. Emerging economy like Nigeria. Okay. So the only way out for us is to go the way of entrepreneurship, and that's the way jobs can be created.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Yeah, please let us give a round of applause to Dr. Austin, and as we will give the chance to Mr. Francis to put a word before we go to the next session. He still have about some, how many minutes to go? Maybe just about below 15 minutes like this. So thank you so much, Dr. Austin. I know we are still together on this issue, and we're coming to an area where you will throw more light when we come to the questions. So Mr. Francis, please, if you're around, can you just join us and then give us some highlights too before we go to the question and answer. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so sorry that the network in my area was so bad that I could not connect immediately, but I will try to just go through my slides, and I expect that the questions, during the question and answer time, I'm able to attend to some of the areas. But the main subject here is the role of entrepreneur in economic recovery. Now, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Please forget about the biography. Next. Next. Now, we must know, firstly, who is an entrepreneur? What is entrepreneur? Entrepreneur is an individual who creates a new business, bearing most of the risks and enjoying most of the rewards. The process of setting up a business is known as entrepreneurship. The entrepreneur is commonly seen as an innovator, a source of new ideas, goods, service, and business or procedure. Next, please. Next, please. Now, I will talk about the process of becoming an entrepreneur But before we go to that, how can somebody become a successful entrepreneur? One, know about yourself well. We used to talk about SWOT analysis in businesses. SWOT analysis means strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But most problem we have is analyzing the political, the economy, the sociocultural, the technological, the environment, the legislation, possibly the regulation, and probably analyzing the competitors and Michael Porter's 5 forces. Now 6, not even 5. The new entrance to the business, we analyze. The competitive rivalry, we analyze. The buyers of our product, we analyze. The suppliers, we analyze. The complementary products, we analyze. And the substitutes, we analyze. We don't analyze ourselves as individuals. In most cases, we are the problems, not even the economy, not the political. Because there are 2 people among so many people. We have the optimists, we have the pessimists. Pessimists will see calamity in every opportunity. Why the optimists will see opportunity in every calamity. If you are not an optimist, you can never be an entrepreneur. Your business, profession and passion are not the same. Passion is at a higher level of profession. Whatever you are passionate at doing, you must succeed in doing it. So develop something which is sellable, because you need customers. If you don't produce what is sellable, whether service, idea, or product, is a problem. Then identify the loopholes and blind spots. Take risk and accept failures. Embrace learning and curiosity. Stay committed to your idea and startup. Stick to your values and ethics. Next. Now, there are 2 things to look at. Whether you are an entrepreneur, you are an entrepreneur, you are an entrepreneur, because I was going to that anyway. There are ideal situations. Nobody thrives under any ideal situation. In fact, I must say that this juncture, there is no any ideal situation, because there are things that you cannot control. And those things that you cannot control make the idea to become ideal. So, as an entrepreneur, the entrepreneurs really differentiate these facts, that they deal with ordeal, not the ideal. Next, please. Next. Now, see, we have this. This is what defines entrepreneur. And I'm going to go through the 4 quadrants briefly. The E quadrant is when you are employed. You never see anybody waking up one day and say he's an entrepreneur. On what story will you get the glory? You must have kind of groaning to grow. You must have kind of punishment to be polished. You must have some scars to be made a star. So when you are employed, 100% of your time is taken by your employer. On that level, you are active and you are great. You are placed on grade level. The grade level is, meaning of grade level is to be graded and leveled. Graded with salary, graded with allowances, leveled with so many taxes. So in the second quadrant of S, that is when you are self-employed. Now, there is a difference, there's a gap between E and S. There's a gap of intrapreneurship and entrepreneurship. Intra is when you are working for somebody and you have potential to set up a business of your own without any interruption. That is intrapreneurship. One tree is you are come out now. You want to, but you are not there. That is one entrepreneur. So when you are self-employed, you have come out of the intra and one tree now. You are now self-employed. That means you are successfully taking the 100% of your time from your employer. So the best that could happen is to go on 6 months leave and 6 weeks leave. Otherwise, that business will finish before you come back. You move to another quadrant of passive. That is when you're in business, you employ 10 people, you take 10% of their time to make 100%. Employ 20 people, take 5% of their time to make 100%. But I is the investment when money works for you. Just wake up and play golf. When you have invested on shares, when you have invested on real estate, just go in the morning, play golf, come back, drink tea, sleep. Your money is working for you. Next. So we now talk, now that we have known the process of graduating from intra to one tree and to entrepreneur, the main issue to address in this context is the role of entrepreneur in our economic recovery. What is their role? There's employment opportunity. Entrepreneurs employ labor for managing their business activities and provides employment opportunities to a large number of people. They remove unemployment problem. That is their role. And it is a blank check. Anybody can become, provided you study what it takes to be one. Now, next. Balanced regional development. Government promotes decentralized development. Industries, as most of the incentives are granted to establish industries in backward and rural areas. Thus, the entrepreneur to avail the benefits, establish industries, backward and rural areas. They remove regional disparities. So you see, government will say there is electricity in one village and there is good road in one village. Then you now see people establishing factory there, because in establishing business, there's what we call location and localization of industry. Location of industry is nearness to raw materials, to amenities that you need to produce your product. And localization is labor around there, local labors around there, to ensure that you have skilled, unskilled, and semi-skilled laborers. Unskilled laborers that you need to drive your business are determined by the localization of that business. So government will create an enabling environment. They call it industrial estate. The entrepreneurs will go there. Maybe there's tax holiday, there's free trade zones in many states. They go there and they do their businesses. They employ people and the people earn living from there. Next, please. Next. Now, another role of entrepreneurs, mobilization of local resources. Entrepreneurs have to mobilize and utilize local resources like small savings and talents of relatives and friends, which might otherwise remain idle and underutilized. Resources, human, material, and financial, are the major resources needed by entrepreneur. But in most cases, you go to the bank will ask you to bring python teeth, and with a very exorbitant interest rate. Friends and relations who do not know what to do with the money, they invest and they help the economy through that. Instead of keeping the money in their wardrobe or keeping it in the bank, entrepreneurs help relatives, friends to utilize especially their financial resources effectively. Next. Another one is optimization of capital. Entrepreneurs aim to get quick return on investment. They act as a stabilizing force by providing high output capital ratio as well as high employment capital ratio. All these challenges we are having in Nigeria, you see our graduates riding Okada, do this, is because there is no level of entrepreneurship in Nigeria. There's no level. If whether at a small scale or medium scale or large scale, somebody that is working for him. Employment rate will reduce. Next. Next, please. Hello.
We can hear you. Okay.
Please. I don't know why it's the slide. Okay, it has moved now. It wasn't moving before.
No, it's not moving. It's moving now.
Yeah.
Promotion of exports is another role of entrepreneurs in an economic recovery. Entrepreneurs reduce the pressure on the country's balance of payments by exporting their goods. They earn valuable foreign exchange. All this dollar is 550, is 400. We don't have any control of it. There's nothing we can do. In fact, if Kenya is not taking it, can reach 1,000. Except entrepreneurs produce goods that can be exported. And that is the only solution to help our economy. All our students traveling abroad to school, they pay exorbitantly. Everything imported, fuel has gone up. The fuel we produce in this country that is exported for refining, we still come back to us because of imbalance of payment, the balance of payments. But through production of goods by entrepreneurs and rendering of services, this can stabilize our economy. Next, please. Next. Consumer demands. Entrepreneurs produce a wide range of products required by consumers. You know, consumers must eat. The consequence of not eating is more than eating. You know, there's Maslow's theory. Maslow's theory talks about biological needs. Food, shelter, and clothing is basic for everybody. For everybody, whether poor or rich, old or young, male or female, biological needs is required, and government cannot provide everything. It's the entrepreneurs that can do this, and when they do that, that means that consumers will have things to buy. They will not need to rely on imported goods. In Nigeria, we are blessed in this country that things that we're supposed to produce locally, we still depend on import. That's not good enough. Next. Social advantage. That's another role. For example, helping the development of society by providing employment to people. I've said that before. And pay way for independent living. Somebody that is packaging beans, packaging this, potato, farming and all that. That is independent need. You have seen the employment, the quadrant E. You can never grow beyond your employer. It's not possible. You need to move to S. S starts with entrepreneurship. That is self-employed. So this independent living will help our economy. It's going to help us. They encourage democracy and self-government. They are added in distributing national income in more effective and reputable manner among the various participants of the group. So that is what social advantage can do as a role of in our economic recovery. Next, please. Next. Increase per capita income. Transfer help to increase the per capita income of the country in various ways and facilitate in development of backward areas and weaker sections of it. So entrepreneurs can integrate backwardly or forwardly or probably horizontally. Why? Hello?
Can we move?
Hello?
Hello?
I can't, please. It's like I lost track here. Let me quickly see if, okay. Let me even, I can't see it from my phone again. Let me just check my laptop and see if I can continue from there.
Okay.
And please, just hold on. Hold on, please. Hold on, please. I'm sorry for these, all these inconveniences are regretted. Okay, help to increase per capita income of the country in various ways. I've just said that. When people produce, when people are productive, there is a way that it reflects in our economy. You don't bring foreigners to come and do what Nigerians can do. That's not helping our economy. It's not helping our economy at all. So the per capita income is enhanced by entrepreneurs in recovering our economy. Then talk of capital formation. A country can attain economic development only when there is more amount of investment and production. Help in channelizing their savings and savings of the public to productive resources. by establishing enterprises. So when companies grow, they integrate either forwardly or backwardly, and they do a lot of things in product development, in market development, in market penetration, in diversification, whether horizontally or conglomerate or whichever way. Companies do that. Banks don't do it. Even producers of goods do it too. All these helps in capital formation for our economy. And another one is growth of capital market. Entrepreneurs raise money for running their businesses through shares and debentures. Government won't do that. It's entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs can't do it. Entrepreneurs can't do it. So entrepreneurs are there to raise money for running their businesses. The investment quadrant in the first slide I showed to you is achieved through this. The man that is playing golf, his one is working for him somewhere. So they help in growth of capital market. Then talk of growth of infrastructure, structural development of any country. That means the economic development of a country. The company, many companies I consult for, they grade their road themselves. They provide, they even engage in corporate social responsibilities by providing potable water for people around them. That is infrastructure. Entrepreneurs can only do that. So that is their role, and they are doing. Some of them are doing it. So the more of them we have, the better we live. Then trade, development of trade, further plays an important role in the promotion of domestic trade and foreign trade. That is obvious, because people produce locally, they export. And when they export, it's from one country to another, it becomes international product. Some even do globalized product. They are in every continent. So that is what entrepreneurs can do. Economic integration. Entrepreneurs reduce the concentration of power in a few hands by creating employment opportunities and through equitable distribution of income. Entrepreneurs promote economic integration by adopting certain economic policies and laws framed by the government. So the entrepreneurs help in economic integration. The more we have, the better for our economy. And lastly, inflow of foreign capital. I do a business, I do some businesses that I represent some international organization, and that can come from that. We have some companies in the agri sector, like Olam. They brought in some capital from whatever they are, from their country. So many are like that, and they bring it. You see them trying to do one thing or the other to ensure that our economy thrives. So on this note, I will stop on the role of entrepreneur in economic recovery, and I believe during the question and answer section, there may be more light to be shed. Thank you very much. Hello?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. A round of applause to Mr. Francis. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being very fast and making us to gain some time with questions. First and foremost, yeah, we see that in our audience, I do not know whether there is any policymaker in our audience. If you are a policymaker, please can you just indicate, say yes in the chat box. Let me see. Is there anyone at the level of the policymaker in this in the audience? Maybe not. So yeah, we students, and we appreciate so much the fact that we went a little bit very academic. Yeah, the role of entrepreneurs as to building the economy and so on. We're so happy that we also have some definitions. As students, we need this. One thing also came out so clearly, you know, Rome Business School is made up of entrepreneurs. And you can see from the questions, people are looking at practical solutions. And we are very grateful that our guest speakers are also entrepreneurs themselves. Having started entrepreneurship, like Dr. Mweze, from the 90s through the SAP, through the structural adjustment, that is the SAP, through the different governments, the military and the civilian government. He must have with that through all those systems that he can be able to advise us, the entrepreneurs that are on this, making the bulk of our audience. Now, please, I would like to, if you are an entrepreneur or you want to be an entrepreneur, please kindly just put yes. Just put yes on the chat and let us see, for our guest speakers to really appreciate that some people are here to really receive answers. I'm beginning to see people are writing yes. I've seen one yes. If you are an entrepreneur or you want to be an entrepreneur, practical, just write yes. You see the yes are just coming and we can see it. We know that many people here are with so many questions as an entrepreneur. So we're going to tap into your experience as entrepreneurs. And the questions I've been saying are questions that are asking, where do I go? How can I grow? How can I play this function that I am an entrepreneur? I am an entrepreneur that can grow the economy. I can create jobs. I can give what the consumers want to eat. But very importantly, I want to make profit. I want to use my creativity, but I want to make profit. I want to make profit. I want to do business and make profit. So in so doing, I'm able to provide my consumers with what they can pay for. Now, where do I take the funds? Where do I take this? What is the enabling environment? In the current situation in Nigeria, can I be a successful entrepreneur? What areas, what sectors? Is it the food industry? Is it the communication? Now, we're going to go very practical here. So maybe I should actually start with the questions that have been given. I will just maybe read them. Before I now come in with some questions that I have, for example, we want you to tell us something about your own business, the challenges you face on your own business, and how you were able to overcome them, and how the environment, the prevailing environment at that particular moment, maybe it was during the military era, maybe COVID, because COVID is providing some people with opportunities, and how we or any other person in the audience can tap into it to be able to resolve a problem. We're here, we believe that the moment we're here is going to give people value for the time that they have spent here, that they will go back home with a solution for their entrepreneurial challenges. Because most of them, as you can see, they are entrepreneurs. So please, to start with, we will ask our guest speakers, please tell us about your own business, how you surmounted some challenges which you are seeing on the market now, so that it can throw light on somebody who is passing through the same thing. Please let me not talk too much. Please, you can, Mr. Francis can start, Dr. Mweze can start. You're entrepreneurs. Yes. You've gone through the different, please.
Let me start, please. It was unfortunate I didn't really share my background experience with you. I have 34 years experience in agribusiness management. And before I retired from where I was working, I displayed the entrepreneurship spirit. And how did I do that? The company I worked for was Ammo Bing Nigeria Limited, Ammo Farm Nigeria Limited. I was the first general manager in that company. There was nothing on ground to start with in 2003. Nothing. No, as a GM, I started with Okada going to the office. Before I was bought one very old 504. There was no money at all. But I bought into a vision of my MD, Dr. Ayola Odoton. Because where I was working before, I was working in Tons International, Shogbo, where I was given a brand new car. And I left brand new car to start a business with a very old car. With my salary slashed, I was earning 100,000 in Tons. When I came to Ammo, it was 62,500 naira because there was a vision. And when we started, there was nothing at all. There was nothing at all. But we were able to combine our intelligent quotient with emotional quotient and social quotient to really achieve what we wanted. Now, what we did was that there was no raw material, there was no money to run it, but I retired. I resigned from my company before I joined that company in Aba, and I saw a potential there. And I told my boss then, can we go and start this business in Aba? The first question is, where is the money? How are you going to get the money? I said, is it only money that we need to do business? It's not, you don't, in most cases, you don't need money. What you need is ideas. So I now told him that how much is on ground. I remember vividly, he told me 6 million naira. Business that people start with 100 million, say 6 million. I said, it's too much. 6 million, too much to start this business. Now, I now told him how we are going to spend the 6 million. To tell, I'm divining entrepreneurship now. I said, we need to buy a mill. We need to rent a warehouse. We will negotiate for 5 years. We'll beg the owner of the warehouse, the landlord. Sorry, we are going to pay for 1 year. But in another 6 months, we pay another one. That is entrepreneurship spirit. And if we do that, how are we going to get the machine? More in those days, that time, people normally buy imported equipment to mill feed. I told my boss, we don't need to import mill. Let us fabricate locally. And what's supposed to cost us about 10 million, we ended up paying 750,000 for it. Unfortunately, chicken does not know the difference between the meal, the feed from the imported meal and the local meal. Chicken could not differentiate. And at the end of the day, what I did was, I said, okay, he now asked me, how are you going to, what about the generator? You know, there's no power in Nigeria. He said, we don't need to buy brand new generator. The person that fabricated the mill will remove the engine of 911, put an alternator, and we now have 85 kVA generator. That's how we started. And today, I'm telling you, is a great turnover from that business. When that spirit I had is the same spirit that propelled me as a entrepreneur. I'm the Director General of Premier Agribusiness Academy. When I was looking for investors, I couldn't get. And what I could get from investors to start my business that time was just 4.5 million. To start an academy, to start a business academy, you understand that even primary school, you don't talk of 4.5 million. But it is too much. You have to manage it. The problem most of our entrepreneurs have is that they want to start from the top. Everything created is from bottom up. If you start from top, that is dead on arrival. You understand? Because when the only thing one does that is from top to top is when somebody dies and they are luring him to the grave. That can be likened to an entrepreneur who is waiting for all resources to start the business. I started a small way, bringing people together to really believe in the kind of training I do. Interestingly, Dr. Humphrey, who is my mentor, who is my boss, because I am an alumnus of our own business school, attended one of the programs that I'm talking about. Today, we are occupied January to December, training people, and the story has changed. Scripturally, it is written, don't despise the day of your small beginning. I did not despise the day of my small beginning. From there, I was so committed. There was passion in doing it. And that passion was what has taken us to the level we are today. Thank you very much. Hello. I can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry. I was talking and muted. Thank you so much, Mr. Francis, for that great experience. And I hope our audience learned something from there. Start small. Start small. This is the message I got from there. And I guess a lot, you can start small and be committed. And I think the vision too, he bought into the vision totally. Now we're going to listen to Dr. Austin. Please share something with us that will help us, the entrepreneurs, pick up something from there that can help them when they go back to their businesses. Thank you.
Well, thank you once again. I started several businesses right from when I finished my National Youth Service. I went straight and ventured, was beaten several times because I had this entrepreneurial bug. And but the point is that to survive as an entrepreneur, just like me, I read a book that told me that the future, this was in the 90s, early 90s. I read this book, said that the future belongs to those who are generalists, not specialists. That the future, the past is for specialists. The future is for generalists. So I loved it and I picked it up. The point the book made was that you need to have, entrepreneurs should have several skills. You develop several skills. If one is not working, you move on to the next one. And if you check all the entrepreneurs in the world, it's not the first business they started that they must have done something else, moved on to something, or migrated from one to another and all that. So that was my own case. Okay, I tried several things, but the experience, and they all failed. The several businesses that I started failed. And now they're helping me. The experience I gained from them is now what is helping me today to do what I'm doing. Now, when you have several skills, I was a journalist, for instance. I was, a publisher. I was a researcher, market researcher. I was a salesman. I was, several things I did. But when one is not working, you migrate to the other one. When that one is not working, until you find the one that you can stabilize, you can, stabilize with and, make progress, more progress. Because at the initial stage, you don't actually know what you are called to do. Every activity you do, there is a calling. There's something that you are called to do in life. Okay. Now, before I discovered, I entered. I was working in a consulting firm. After trying publishing a magazine, I was ahead of my time. 20 years ahead of my time, because when I stopped publishing, 20 years after I stopped publishing, that the entrepreneurial activities began to spring. People began to understand what entrepreneurship is. Because when I told them about what entrepreneurship meant, they begin to entrepreneur what? It's like most of them didn't hear about it.
In progress.
So I began to really, and I didn't have money starting that magazine. I said, okay, since I know what I want to do, why don't I start interviewing people? So I penciled out the names of the people I wanted to interview. I went to them. I went to the first lady I wanted to talk to about her business. And after the interview, she loved the concept. She put her in her purse and brought out 5,000 naira and said, "This is the seed money you need." Because I didn't have even 1,000 naira to take a cab to her office. This was in the 90s. 1,000 was big money then. 1,000 was big money in the 90s. So she gave me 5,000. I said, what can I do with this 5,000? I went to Shomolu in Lagos and bought paper and printed the cover of the magazine first said, let me use it as a marketing tool to raise money because no investor was ready to give me money because I was relatively unknown. Nobody could trust me with his money. Okay? Because when investors are investing, they're not only investing in the idea that you have, they're investing in you. So I didn't have that kind of network for people to know the connections. So I took the 5,000 that she gave me. That is the lady I interviewed for the magazine. I carried her story. She said, this is the seed money you need. I took that 5,000, used part of it to buy the cover of the magazine and printed the cover of the magazine. I didn't put dates on the cover. So I used to use it to the next person I will interview, to investors. I said, this is the magazine. I've printed the cover. Okay? I printed the cover of the magazine. I need money to print the inside so I can start this thing. But when a friend of mine, I ran into him and he said that he wanted to invest in the business and things didn't work out. He said, okay, let me give you a loan. He gave me a loan of 25,000, which lasted for 2 minutes in my hands because armed robbers stole the money from me just when I came out of the bank, So it took me another year for me to raise money. I was still carrying the cover of that magazine until I was able to raise money and I started publishing. And what I was doing was to use the contact I had, my church members who were working in different organizations. I said, I beg, tell your organization to give me, and there was this lady, she's late now. She used to be a director in one of the advertising agencies. And she would beg the IGI, this industrial gas insurance, and some other companies. They will give me ads. When I publish, they give me money. And when I use the money, I roll it back to publish another one, and then they will pay me. As they pay me, I roll it back to, and that was what I did until I ran out of steam. It was Peter Bonney. Peter Bonney said that any good idea, an undercapitalized business is bound to fail, no matter how good that idea is, business idea is. Any undercapitalized business is bound to die, no matter how good that business concept may be. And that was exactly what happened to me. It was a good concept, but I couldn't sustain it. I sustained it for about 5 or 6 years, going bootstring, this thing. And then I decided to move on to something else. I said, okay, let me experience the corporate world. And then I joined a consulting firm and then joined the Lagos Business School and sharing these experiences I had, all the mistakes I made in running my own business. I was the publisher, the editor, the marketing manager. I was everything, okay? And when I could afford for one other person to join me, even my 10-month-old son, I just started starting a family then. My wife, my first son, they will all join me to the press. And we will all be there, waiting for this magazine to come out. And, and my advice, let me just say this, I don't know whether I have opportunity of saying this. Please, entrepreneur, if you're planning to start a business, make sure you settle your family, okay? Make sure you settle your family first. I learned this, I didn't know this until one of the entrepreneurs I interviewed. He said that he was a medical doctor. I was practicing medicine, but he was tired of it. He wanted to go into business. And he told me that he called his wife for a meeting and said, look, give me your budget, that for 3 years, he's going to pay rent. He set aside money, gave her money for rent, house rent. 3 years, school fees for children, gave her money for that. 3 years for feeding, taking care of the home. He gave her money for that. And he told her, for the next 3 years, please, I'm going to join my friends to struggle. Now hustle. Don't ever ask me for money for feeding. Don't ask me money for school fees. Don't ask me money for house rent. This is my life savings I'm giving you. I'm going out there to join my people to see what I can make of it. Within 2-3 years, he was able to set up his own and started employing. By the time I interviewed him, he had over 120 employees in his office. I said, how I wish I knew this early enough. My business could have still be running because I didn't know the difference between the corporate money and the business money. And as entrepreneurs, the second lesson, you must separate, pay yourself. Pay yourself a salary every month. How do you pay yourself? Calculate all your expenses. The money for gas, to gas your car, the money for transport, the money for everything you need. Take it and make it as your salary for the month. Because if you do like I did, you run out of steam. Your business will, go the way like my own did. So, and that's the second lesson. Okay, the first lesson, take care of the home first. Second lesson, pay yourself. And then the third lesson, don't give up. Okay, don't ever give up. And find the area that you are called to do as an entrepreneur. Some are called to be manufacturers. Some are called to be, to build on what other people have done. And some are called to be original innovators. Some are called into tech. So find where you are, where your interest is, and then you pursue it. And don't expect investors to come in or the banks to come in to assist you. The banks will not come to you until you start making money. When they start hearing your name, they now come to you and say, that loan you've been looking for, we are ready for you. And the bank refused up to now. I don't even have interest to go to the bank to do anything that I want to do. So whatever I'm doing and my consulting is what is taking care in the lifestyle I want to live, and we want to set up lifestyle business. Fine. So want to start, to leave a legacy. Fine. Okay. So, but the point is that no matter what it is, that experience you had in your failure in one is no failure. It's lesson, teaching. You're going to school. Because somebody said that you need to fail 99 times to be able to succeed. That failure is 99%, success is 99% failure. So you need to learn from that failure. Like when I teach in class right now, I share my experiences. It helps other people so they don't make the same mistake that I made. So you need to develop different skills so that you'll be able to know, if I stop teaching today, I go publishing my books. I've written several books. Okay, the books alone will feed me, and they're all supporting my academic work. Okay, so I can never be. Yes, you can be. They can take away your job. They cannot take away your employment. So you cannot have job security, but you can have employment security. Employment security is different from job security. Job security is the task that you do. Any other person can do it. Employment security is the lesson, the skills that you have built over the years, which you will use, which will feed you. They can take away the job, but they cannot take away the skills that you have learned. And if you're working now, you want to go into business, you start from what you are used to doing, what your work entails right now. If you're a carpenter working for someone, you want to go on your own, you start from that carpentry work, okay? And then you build to other things that you want to do. So you start from known before you get to the unknown, okay? So that's the easiest path to go and pursue your entrepreneurship. So I failed 5 times or 6 times.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. We've learned so much from Dr. Austin. We learn not to give up. You know, if you fail, it is just, you've learned many ways of not succeeding. So you will know how many ways, if you do it that way, you will not succeed. So it is just a learning process. You do not give up. We learn the fact that you should, when you manage a business, pay yourself, you know, have a salary for yourself. We've learned so many things. And I'm sure that a lot of us are getting really, really enlightened in a way that when we go back to our businesses, we can be able to apply what we are listening. And that is the very reason why we came here. Please, let me take some questions from the chat so that we can get to know what other people want clarification for. Let me see the first one. The first one is from Henry Etuk. He's talking of economic growth means an increase in real national income, that is national out, and economic development means an improvement in the quality of life and living standards, e.g. measures of literacy, life expectancy, and healthcare. The question is, can one exist without the other? He said, I doubt, but that question is for our guest speakers to throw some light on it. Can one exist without the other?
They always tag along. They tag along each other. Okay. Yeah, growth.
Thank you.
Yeah, as for growth to happen, development is evidence of growth.
Yeah.
So the two go together.
Oh, that is great. Thank you so
much
for that answer. Then there is Adekola is asking, in a sector with low barrier of entry, how can we guarantee quality? Something like that. How can quality be guaranteed? That is his question. In a sector with low barrier of entry, how can quality be guaranteed?
Okay, when the maybe Francis, you want to go first, or I should go? Francis, you want to go first, or I should go?
Please go. Let me follow you.
Okay, all right. You know, when there's low barrier to entry, and then before you enter any new market, you need to look at the market structure of that industry, whether it's a monopoly, whether it's oligopoly, whether it's pure competition, and whether it is monopolistic competition. And in a low barrier to entry barrier is usually competition. Okay, so quality is achieved when you have many products competing. You'll be forced to, even if you don't want to improve on your product, nobody's going to buy it. They have other choices. So competition in a low barrier to entry, you know, it encourages competition and also helps in quality development, quality of your products, because you keep improving. Let me give you an example. And, you know, and that's when you talk about this blue ocean strategy. Blue ocean strategy talks about red ocean and the blue ocean. Red ocean is where you have a lot of competition. Blue ocean is when you stand out. But you can have a blue ocean in a red ocean. And how do you achieve that? A company that produces pure water was able to achieve, you know, pure water is an example of low entry, because nobody, the barrier to enter, to start your business in pure water, you don't need anybody to say, okay, let me, as long as you incorporated and you get NAFDAC and all that, you get your NAFDAC number. But this company was able to separate their own, that when they came to the market where they usually supply, people rush for that product. I called them. It was a practical example. At Ojota, I saw how they were rushing the pure water. I now asked them to bring a bag for me. And I asked the seller, what's in your product? This is your pure water. That is not in the other product. Why people are rushing to buy your own? He said, Oga, you wouldn't understand though. Our product is well filtered, number one. I said number one. Number two, he said our pure water, you don't need much ice to chill it. I said, how come? He said the technology in the sachet is such that it keeps the water cool for a long time. You don't even need to put it in the ice. So these are the selling points. And thirdly, it's a bit, the quantity, the water in it, in the sachet, is bigger a bit. So these three things, because of what? Competition made them to come up with a new concept. How do we separate our pure water from the rest of the pack? And that is entrepreneurial thinking. So you must have that kind of ways of separating your products. Apply the blue ocean strategy to be an island on your, even in the midst of the competition, you are separate. You stand out. Okay? Yeah, Francis, you can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think to add to what Dr. Austin just gave to us. Now, the situation, whether whatever product or services you are rendering, you must distinguish yourself out, because that's the only way you can sell your product, even at a premium. In the old school of marketing, they talk of 4 Ps. You have to be very mindful that the way you view things are not the same way your customers are viewing it. Your product is your product, your service is your service. Your customers don't see it as product, they see themselves as consumers. That's why they regard themselves as kings. It is price to you, but it is cost to them. It is place to you, it is convenience to them. It is promotion to you, it is communication to them. It is people to you, it is caring to them. It is process to you, it is coordination to them. It is physical evidence to you, but it is confirmation to them. You talk of personal selling, it is convincing, whether you have all the PhD in marketing, how well can you convince them? That is what they're interested in. And lastly, it is partnership to you, it is continuity to them. You must ensure that you are the standard in whatever you do. And standard as a process. To become a red apple among the green apple. To become a white cola among the red colas, cola nuts. Then there's a process. What is the process? When everybody is sitting down, you must stand. And when they are standing, you must stand up. When they stand up, you must be up standing. When they do what you are doing to be upstanding, you have to run out of their midst to be outstanding, to be outstanding. And when one of them joins you out there, you have to stand out. And when you stand out, they repeat what you did. You have to stand very hard. He that stand, let him take heed, lest he fall. And the moment you have done that, they are rocking your boat. You have money from abroad. You have Barry's your senior brother. All sort of news. They rock your boat, and if you remain focused, you remain on top, then you have become a standard. That you're a standard in Lagos market does not make you a standard in Abuja market. So when you take your goods that succeed in Lagos to Abuja, you don't take the same process you did in Lagos. When you get to Abuja, like Dr. Austin said, there are sharks and whales in the red ocean. They are ready to swallow anybody. People are ready to lose money 2 years because just to frustrate your business. So when you get to Abuja, you don't sit down when you get there. What you do is to sit on the floor. When you sit on floor, nobody talks. Don't still sit on the chair. Crawl. When you crawl, nobody, they will see you that you can't do anything. This one is just it cannot harm us. So all their armory, all their weapons will still be kept in the armory. You crawl when nobody talks. You walk. When nobody talks, you jog. When nobody talks, run. When nobody talks, fly. When nobody talks, soar. After that, disappear. You understand? So with that, you can maintain your level at any market if you are mindful of that. But if you showcase yourself as somebody who has come to attack, there are people who are ready to lose money. Lose money. I heard of a story of Maggi noodles now. In the noodles market, there used to be Maggi. That's where we have Indomie. We used to have Maggi noodles. Maggi noodles is produced by Nestle. Where is Maggi noodles today? Maggi noodles is not more in the market. Dufry came to the market. They came with disruptive innovation strategy and discouraged Nestle from production of Maggi noodles. They eventually bought their lines. They bought Maggi noodles lines to survive. At the end of the day today, they have gained so much brand image, brand loyalty that every noodle any children going to buy is Indomie. Whereas it's just a brand name. See Lavage, see Boham Cement. Where is Boham Cement today? Boham Cement is nowhere. You can't even see it. It's Dangote Cement that everybody is talking about. Disruptive innovation. Disruptive innovation. So as an entrepreneur, you need to humble yourself. When you have IQ plus EQ plus SQ is equal to ego, EGO. You subtract ego from ego, it comes to humility. Humility is equal to stewardship. When you behave that manner, you have everything to amass to yourself. You attack people, you just take people unawares. And look at Promasidio. When Promasidio came to the market, Pick Milk was the prime product. Every office, Pick is still the leader today. But they took, Promasidio took Friesland milk, took them unawares. They went underground. Pick Milk was doing B2B. Promasidio was doing B2C, C2C, customer to customer. They went underground, go to villages, producing sachet milk. Pick Milk didn't do until they nearly closed down before they now woke up from their stupor and they are now producing sachet milk, which they didn't want to do before. Please, as an entrepreneur, you have to use your quotients. IQ, intelligent quotient, emotional quotient, and your social quotient. That's when you can keep yourself afloat in every market, in every business, anywhere, anytime. And you must ensure that you, as an entrepreneur, anybody else is somebody less. The product you're producing should be anything less is something less. That's the way to go about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, our guest speakers. We are so grateful for all these interventions. We'll move quickly to the other questions. Time is not really on our side, but it's really, really interesting as we are finding answers to our questions. Now we'll go to the next question from Henry. Must it really be a new idea? It could be an existing idea that is repositioned or repackaged. Then the second question from the same person is, must entrepreneur in Nigeria most entrepreneurs in Nigeria are in S, and that is why businesses in Nigeria don't outlive the owners. I think Mr. Francis will start with this. It is his presentation that gave this partition of where entrepreneurs can be. Please, can you start, and then Dr. Austin will support your explanation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Hear you very well. We can hear you.
Very good.
We can hear you very well.
Very good.
Please, if anybody is not hearing, put no. If you can hear very well, put a plus sign in the chat. Let's see. If you can hear very well, put a plus sign in the chat, and let us see.
Can I go ahead? Hello?
Yes, sir, you can go ahead.
Yes.
I can go ahead. Okay. Now, in product development process, there must be idea generation. Then you move to screening of that idea. Then in generating your idea, you have the opportunity of doing exploratory research. That is maybe desktop research. That will cost you not too much money. What is happening? That is talking of traditional marketing. But if it is digital marketing, you go to Google AdWords. What are people looking for? Google AdWords will suggest to you what they are looking for. You don't do a lot of things to say Google, there's Google trend. How many people are buying this product? Male, female, children, very well. Because whether it is existing idea or new idea, you must ensure that you spend least to get much. If there's a product that is on ground, why are you going into field research to look for new idea? You can even bring some people together in a brainstorming session to get what you want. It will not cost you so much. So it is not compulsory that it should be new idea. There are ideas that are repackaged. The old house in the city is not necessarily the most beautiful house. So you can modify the product. You can even find new uses for that product. You can look for more users for that product. You understand? So these are things that can happen with whether it is new or existing idea. You know, in that product development process, after the screening, you have screened, separated chaff from the wheat. Yes, you have to do business analysis before you now go to where the business analysis will tell you whether, okay, you move from divergence to emergence to convergence. That's moving from creative to critical. So that is what you do. And when you do your business analysis, you are doing only two things, feasibility and viability. Feasibility is the possibility, viability is the profitability before you now go into marketing, which is test marketing you do, that is measuring your trial rate with the repurchase rate. Now, that is about the idea generation and product development process. Now, about the entrepreneurship, the problem Nigerians have is that truly there is not always succession plan. You hardly can see entrepreneurs who can say that our business is 100 years old. I don't think I've seen anyone in Nigeria 100 years old. That is now the second generation that is managing it. No, that's a challenge. And you know the reason why? I have a case that I want to share with you. There's a case of a man who used to be my customer. Is is a egg producer, is an egg producer. And this man trained his son up to the PhD level in animal science and made the son to become the general manager of the farm. They now took some birds and the birds were not doing well. I now asked, Shebi, you are a PhD holder. Why are you having this problem? Say for where PhD for mouth. Daddy will never allow me to take any decision. The father will always tell him, how old were you when I started this business? What do you know about poultry? I've been doing this poultry before I marry your mother. That's one of the challenges with Nigerian entrepreneurs. They are not ready to innovate. They are not ready. There's calculator in their phone. They will still go send their children to go and buy a Casio calculator. They are not ready to innovate. So it becomes a problem with entrepreneurs passing the baton to Guinness is 1759. Started 1759. We are still drinking Malta Guinness in Nigeria today. There are businesses abroad that even 5th generation, 6th generation, they are managing. It is because they put some structures in place and they ensure that those children, if it's a family business, they take everybody through the business. But in our own case in Nigeria, no way. We lack apprenticeship. We don't like to embrace apprenticeship. Only the Igbo people in Nigeria are this sector that I know that have succeeded in managing businesses. You see them in banks. They are in the banks. They are in everywhere. When you talk of commercialization, it's because they recognize apprenticeship. They will serve 7 years minimum. And their master will release them with blessing. Yoruba will not do that. Hausa man will not do that. Igbo people, I give that to them. They are the most successful business and entrepreneurs in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think maybe we will begin to invite the Igbo peoples to come and share the model and the model which they have developed. We can take it and then begin to multiply it into other tribes and beyond Africa.
Yes,
really.
I mean it.
Let's
because
go to
I've done so many researches. Even let me tell you this. Let me use though the Rome Business School does not belong to Dr. Humphrey, but I was there at the start of this school, and the Igbo sense has helped this man. Igbo sense. Igbo sense. That is the reason why Rome Business School, how many years old in Nigeria? There's no other business school than Rome Business School. That's just to give you an example of what is happening with Igbos. They're everywhere. They have the business sense, entrepreneurship sense.
You see, in the United Nations, there is this, what they call South-South and Triangular Collaboration or South-South Collaboration, which is bringing solutions from the South, Global South, to another country in the Global South. It is just as simple. When there is a success story in, say, Ghana, they can take it to the neighboring country of Gambia and display the same thing. So I think we can come up with the Igbo model of business entrepreneurship,
yes,
business development. We can coin it. We can work it out and bring it as a model that we can really inculcate. If they are successful, then they have something we can learn. So going forward, I hope the Rome Business School will begin to bring a concept that is homegrown concept, the Igbo model of business development. And it is really true. If you go around the West African coast, all the spare parts are sold by the Igbos, whether it's a French-speaking country or an English-speaking country. And this is because one Igbo man comes to a city and is a spare part dealer. He brings 3 or 4 boys from the village all the time and train them. After 3 years, he settles them, or after 5 years, he settles them. And there will be now 5 spare part sellers in that city. And somebody will say, oh, you're bringing boys to come and take over your business. That is not an Igbo man. No, he will bring them, and before too long, they have a whole community. And this community is a force that can have a voice. And before too long, the market is their own. And this man is related to this man because he brought him from the village, and they work it together. The day their master has a problem, then the other boys quickly gather around him. So it could be a model that we develop. Something good can come out of Africa, even the Igbo model. Maybe this is a little bit personal, but it came out clearly from the discussion. Anyway, let's quickly rush to another question that is from Ishmael. I would like to know the process of transforming from an employee to an entrepreneur in Nigeria. Please, Mr. Francis, go again. And we are running really out of time. I'm looking at the time. So please just throw some light, and Dr. Mweze will also support it for us as we quickly move towards the timeline. Thanks.
Now, most entrepreneurs, they went through a process, whether working for somebody or probably they run apprentice. There are 2 ways to it. So you run apprentice the Igbo way, and it's 7 years, 7-year course for Igbo. Whether it's sand you want to sell or pure water, you must run, you must be with your master 7 years. But if you are going to work for somebody in an organization, you have to be diligent in your work. You have to develop entrepreneurship that I discussed initially. Look, let me tell you, if you are a butterfly where you are working, you cannot suddenly become an eagle in another place. If you are a wall gecko in a business where you are, you cannot suddenly become an alligator. If you are a lizard, you can't become a crocodile. You are a dog, you cannot become a lion. If you are a rat and you want to rat to our family, rodent, grass cutter, they are big rats. Any attempt for any of them to become elephant, they will develop elephantiasis. So the best thing is that what you want to practice as an entrepreneur, you don't wake up and claim yourself an entrepreneur. You must have a story. That is when you have glory. You must pass through some pains that will give you gains. You must be punished so that you can be polished. You must groan, that's when you can grow. You must travail before you can prevail. That's my submission. Thank you. Hello? Can you hear me?
Dr. Austin, yeah, Dr. Austin, please put some support to the points for us. Thank you. Can you hear me, Dr. Mweze?
So, okay, they have omitted me now. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, we can hear you.
I was muted.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Francis, for that, your wonderful submission. Well, I will, if you're a worker, you're working somewhere, like Francis said, you need to use that opportunity to develop your entrepreneurial skills. And then 2 things that you must do before you set out. You must determine how much you have to start what you want to do and how much you have. And then because one is that you must start investing in your business with an amount you can afford to lose. You start with the amount of money you can afford to lose without committing suicide. 2, you must have knowledge of what you want to do. These are key things that you require. You must have knowledge. You must understand it. I give you an example. A friend of mine, Tunde was he was working with Ajip Oil. He worked for Ajip for 20-something years. And when he finished, when he retired, he came to when I was working in a consulting firm. And I advised him after training on retirement and all that. I advised him on what to do. He split the 20 million he was given into 4. 1 he put in stocks, buying shares. The other part, the 5 million he put in shares. 5 million he put in treasury bills. 5 million he used for his family and also to bury his father and his father-in-law who decided to die at the same time. And then the other 5 million, he decided to venture to find something to do. So with that 5 million for business, he narrowed his business concept to selling foodstuff, from foodstuff to fish. He said he wanted to sell fish because everybody needs fish. He wanted to do business that was giving him money every day. So he went into fish. He realized that the best way is not to go into retail, fish retail, to go into having a cold room. So he found a place at Oshodi, became an apprentice after retirement, a chemical engineer. He became an apprentice at a fish, Oshodi, a cold room. 1, he learned the technical side of the fish and also the business side. You know, the kind of fish to buy, how to preserve, and all that. And then the hustling involved, joining young boys to hustle for customers, you know, just forgot about his age, you know, and his qualification, where he was coming from at a corporate level. So he did that for some months. And when he knew that he had learned enough, he now came out and then he went to the owners of those businesses to ask them to advise him what to do. So they advised him not to set up in Lagos, because 5 million is not enough to that he'll be muscled out in no time. That he should go to a place where there are not much competition. So he tried to Osogbo. He traveled to Osogbo. He was able to find. They told him, "Don't go to Lagos. Don't go to Ibadan. You cannot survive. So you should go to Osogbo." He went to Osogbo and then found an abandoned cold room. He inquired and found the owner and bought it over, refurbished it, and then invested about 700,000, call it 1 million, and then stocked the place with fish and started selling fish. The first month, his turnover was 5 million. The second month, the thing kept rising. His wife, an accountant with Wema Bank, a senior manager, saw his cash flow and said that her salary in a year is less than what this man makes in a month. So what's the need working in a bank? So she resigned from the bank and joined the husband. And both of them started doing the business. The man had time to be teaching other people how to set up a fish business and to grow fish. From there, he started going into, they got a contract with the state government to build a tank farm. As a chemical engineer, that was his own thing. So that was how Tunde grew from an employee to an employer. You need to start as an employee, begin to start from what you are known, what you can. If you're electrical engineer, for instance, you start from there. If you're going into an unknown area, please get the knowledge. Become an apprentice. Become an apprentice. You may pay to become an apprentice. You may not be the other, because there are 2 or 3 types of apprenticeship. One type is the one that you become a houseboy, more or less. A houseboy to your master. They will train you and all that. The good thing about apprenticeship is that it helps to capital accumulation. It helps you to accumulate capital. Your guy will settle you, fine. The other type of apprenticeship is where your guy doesn't have to pay you. You just learn. He allows you to learn and all that. You settle yourself. The other type is the one that you have to pay to be trained. Apprenticeship that you have to pay the master to train you, because that was what Tunde did. Okay? So it's important that you have knowledge of what business you're going into. And even when you want to start, the money you can afford to lose without committing suicide when you lose it, that's the amount of money you should start with. You should start small. Okay, if you can afford to lose 10 million without blinking an eye, start with 10 million.
Thank you so.
And invest in your business. So it's important that you know how, what your risk level is. Thank you.
We are so grateful. Thank you. Mr. Lawal is with their hand up. Am I saying very well? Do you have any question? We are almost running out of time. If you have a very sharp question, short question for a very brief answer, we will give you the chance. Mr. Lawal?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, please.
Okay, mine is just a contribution and an observation at the same time. I want to comment on the story of Tunde that Dr. Austin just gave. And as a chemical engineer who had worked in oil company, I expected more, because he would have learned on the job and developed a business model from the experiences he has gathered. I'm not saying going into fish business is not a good idea, but I also see that, the question, someone asked a question on how you can be an entrepreneur working for people and all that. So I believe sometimes we can develop our interest or passion from what we do, on the job and all that. So that's just what I want to contribute.
Yes, I mentioned it, that you can start from your work, what you're doing in your present work. Yeah, you can branch out and start. That's the easiest thing to do before you start doing other things. But Tunde himself decided to, because his own thing will be more capital intensive. 5 million will not be able to do it. Yeah. So he said he wanted something that would give him cash.
Just a quick one. I used to be a banker, and I was in banking for 14 years. And I'm an electrical engineer. While working in the bank, I had a vision. My passion is to own a business, but because I manage a lot of customers that are into oil and gas, and some of them in a chemical application in the field, I developed a business model from there. Today, I own a chemical business in Port Harcourt, and I work for IOCs.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you
So
for that.
Yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make.
Thank you so much for that input, for that enrichment.
Yeah.
The contribution is wonderful.
Yeah.
We have really exhausted our allotted time. Right now, we're going to leave space for Mr. Francis, who is coming in to give us the value of E&I program. Please, Mr. Francis, thank you. Hello?
Sorry, Mary, at this point, we'd like to end the program because we have allocated more than the time scheduled for the program. So what we are going to do now is, first of all, I'd like to appreciate Mr. Toromade for joining us on this program, on this section. And also I would like to appreciate Mr. Austin Uweze for the wonderful work. We really appreciate your time. We appreciate the information that you've been able to provide to us for this webinar section. It was insightful. We gained a lot of experiences from this section. Most of the things that I'm able to get from this section is how to be an entrepreneur, from the beginning stage and to the end stage of being an entrepreneur. I learned a lot from Mr. Toromade, from the stage where he started to be, when you giving the analysis of how to be an entrepreneur. That was a very good analysis. I really enjoyed this part. And Dr. Uweze, I also enjoyed the part where you talked about starting small from the family business, and also including your family and settling your family in the process of starting your own business. That was a very good one, and I expect that everyone in this section has been able to learn a lot from this section. Thank you so much for your time. We know that we have actually taken a lot of your time from, we know of your busy schedule, and we appreciate your time to give us a lot, this insight. We look forward to have more and more, information sections like this with you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mary, for the support. It was a very engaging section. I really appreciate. This was a good one. I'm sure that our students were able to learn from most of the various questions that you've asked from them so far. Thank you so much, Mary. We appreciate your time. We appreciate the section. It was really engaging. Thank you so much. And on behalf of our country director, who is not present with us today, would like to say a very big thank you for the participants and and the panels for joining us today. And we also want to say a very big thank you on behalf of Dr. Ragusa, who is the Dean of Rome Business School. Thank you so much for joining us on this event today. And we look forward to having more sections with you. Thank you so much. I don't know if Mary would like to have something to include to close this section. Thank you so much, everyone.
In fact, you have said it all. I cannot go to repeat the thanks that you've given already to our guest speakers. They have done a wonderful job. Really, I'm blessed. I've learned so much, and I hope all of us on the program, the audience, have also picked up one thing or the other. One thing I would like to say here is that this is not the last. We're still having more and more. The conversation is on. We have to fix ourselves and fix our country. And we're really looking forward, and we are really looking forward to more of such interactions. And the suggestions we have made, we also know that the school is taking note of them, and we are coming up with something of our own, homegrown, and we're going to make it. We're not getting discouraged. Thank you so much for the opportunity that you gave me all to moderate this session. And really, I am so very, very honored. Thank you so much. And I pray that what we have learned today continue to impact in our activities going forward. Thank you so much, everyone. Ciao.
Thank you.
Ciao, bye. Thank you so much. For those who are requesting for the for the slide and the program recording, please drop an email with career service. So if you don't have the email address, it is career.service@ng.com. Yeah. Thank you so much. Please reach out to us on the career service so that we can share all the details, the slides to you after we've been able to receive your email. Thank you so much, and do have a lovely week. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye bye. Thank you.